lost so much weight. I was so depressed. My self-esteem, my confidence was shot out. I felt like I was lower than dirt. I didn't care. I was so emotionally broken and strained from all the bullshit that he did to me. I could not stand the fact that he made me feel less than a person than I ever was. I valued him more than I ever valued myself.
Welcome to the Fuck the Stigma podcast. Today I brought on Juanita. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Thank you for having me here.
So October is recognized as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we kind of got to talking, and we realized like she has some experiences that would bring light to this topic.
Definitely. I was a victim for 7 years, and it was quite an experience. Obviously domestic violence is part of my story, and I just hope my experience brings people hope, because I didn't have hope. I lost all hope, all aspect of everything, my self-esteem, my everything. Like, I just was broken when I had left. But because of therapy and because me finally coming to the police and making that report, it changed my whole life. I finally realized I wasn't alone. I finally realized that I could get the help that I needed.
How would you personally define kind of domestic violence?
Domestic violence to me is, honestly, domestic violence is a person that you love and you become, how I say it, like, it's called the
Stockholm Syndrome.
Stockholm Syndrome is about literally a person who falls in love with their victim, their predator.
Their abuser.
Stockholm
Syndrome describes a psychological condition of a victim who identifies with and empathizes with their captor or abuser and their goals.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what plays in part with domestic violence, you think, a little bit?
Oh, no, definitely. Because when I took my domestic violence classes, they elaborated the history of it, and they said that that's exactly what it is. Because what happens is we were scared at first, right? We're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is going on. Like, you're shocked. And then all of a sudden, these people, it says I started when these hostages were with their predator there for more than 24 hours. And 48 hours. So then they end up finding out, like, they end up getting closer, they're communicating, because obviously they're hostage, right? Yeah. So what else is there going to happen? They're going to communicate, and they're going to see their point of view of why they're doing this hostage thing, and then they start feeling bad, and they want to help them, and they don't want to get them in trouble no more, like they don't want to prosecute against them. So you end up falling in love in some ways with that person. And so then you start emphasizing, like, damn, like, I want to help this person, instead of actually saying, like, no, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Like, why you want to help them? This person literally holds you up at gunpoint. Yeah. So then that's what ends up happening. But still, like, besides all the red flags, they still want to be with that person.
That's the stigma with domestic violence. So, like, why can't you just leave the person that's abusing you?
Yeah. It becomes a vicious cycle.
Yeah. It's definitely deeper rooted in, like, something psychological.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you were, I think, abused by your boyfriend at the time.
Yeah.
So you really did have love for the guy.
Oh, my God. Yes, I did. Like, obviously, he didn't start off the bat as a bad person. It just gradually happened. Like, the mask finally came off, like, showed who he really was. Because in the beginning, oh man, I fell for his charm. He had, like, the most charming smile. That's what got me, was his smile. Aww. When I was in school for nursing, for medical assisting, I met a lot of students, and they invited us to go to, like, a kickback, whatever. This was in 2008. And so we were at a party, and then I saw these two guys, like, just standing right there. I was like, who's that guy over there? I was already eyeing him, and I'm a very confident person. So I was telling my friend, like, hey, who is that? And then she's like, who? I'm like, that guy right there next to your friend's husband. She's like, oh, what? Well, I'm going to use an alias name, James. I was like, yeah. I'm like, who is that? I'm like, he's freaking hot.
Yeah.
And so then we started, like, so I said, okay, let's play some beer pong,
Yeah.
So we started playing beer pong, and I made him my partner. So I was like, you come, like, you want to play?
Yeah.
And they're like, me? And then I didn't know he was seeing someone. So that girl got really defensive. She was like, and so he came with me, just straight ditched her.
Yeah.
And so then we started like chopping them and playing beer pong, and we won, whatever. And then that girl left. So then we started, like changing names. We were talking, and then he asked for my number. I was like, nah, I'm cool. So I just left it like that. I didn't want to give him my number. I was like, nah, because like I noticed that girl was like tripping.
But you ended up getting in contact with him.
Yeah. So then later on, we hang out again, and then we started changing numbers, and we started hanging out, and then we were going out, and then before I know it, we started getting closer. And then I remember I was at school, and we was like probably like 4 months in our relationship already.
How old were you at this time?
I was 21.
Well, you should never ask a woman her age, but okay, a few years back.
21. So yeah, that makes me 36.
You're 36.
Yes, man.
Okay.
I'm pretty goddamn old. I'm an 87 baby.
87.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so good.
I feel like all the people I hang out with, they're definitely not around my age.
You're pretty mature for your age, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I respect that a lot, because like you don't see too many people your age being this successful and being adamant about putting what you love and your passion and making this very known to everyone, because this is something that really needs to shine light to.
Oh, thank you.
Especially with mental health on the rise, man.
Yeah.
It's a good time to speak on stuff like that.
Yeah, slowly more and more people are talking about it, and yeah, I appreciate that. But I think it's really cool I get to like even provide a safe space for people to talk about these things.
Yeah.
Like even in everyday conversations now, like people just end up talking about their mental health a little bit. I'm like, oh, that's fucking awesome. Like I can even do that outside of the podcast.
No, I hear you, because it's funny, because when I was like around your age, man, we would not even talk about being sensitive. Like, what are you being a bitch for? Like you're being too much of a crybaby, and they'll be clowning like that. Yeah. And then you'll be like, fuck, you couldn't even like speak on it, because then people start making you feel like you're ashamed of being sensitive. Mm-hmm. And it's okay to be sensitive now. Like, okay, who cares if I'm sensitive? What does it matter to you? But now, before, you have to show like you're tough and big and this strong person, and you couldn't show no weakness. They will say, oh, you're weak.
It's so weird how we just like to dismiss our human experience and our human emotions. Yeah. Because of the way it's perceived in society.
And it's sad and it sucks. Especially in the Hispanic culture, it's pretty hard. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, growing up for me, it was like just overall not acknowledging it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then they would just dismiss it like, no. Like, no.
Like, oh, sorry about that, but...
No, not happening.
Yeah, move on.
Let go.
Yeah.
So, that's what happens.
How long was this relationship?
It lasted 7 years.
So from when you were 21 to 28?
Mm-hmm. As time went on, I noticed that I had twins already. I had twin little boys. They were 2 years old. And he would be around them. He loved being around them. I remember one time I wasn't able to make it on time to pick him up from school. And he picked him up for me. And I realized, like, wait a minute, I don't even know this guy that well to let him pick up my kids.
Yeah, like this was like 6 months in.
Yeah, no, 5 months in.
5 months
4 months. No, actually 4 months in. And I let him do that. And I started freaking out. I was like, oh my God, what if this and that? And he was just like, oh yeah, your kids were like kind of nervous around me. And he picked me up from school, because I had to do my finals. And so then he goes, no, but my sister helped out. I was like, okay, cool. He has a sister. I forgot about that. Yeah. So then that made me fall in love even more, because I was like, oh my God, maybe he could be like an ideal person for my kids, Yeah. And so little did I know he was a gangster. I didn't know he was part of like the gang life. I didn't know he had a whole secret life that I didn't even know about it till like probably 10 months in our relationship.
That's how you know he's a real one. Not just like flaunting it straight off the bat. Yeah.
Yeah. No. And then he goes, and I would tell him, like, aren't you have to be at work? I thought you said you work. And he goes, I am working. I'm like, what do you mean you're working? He's like, I'm working right now. I was like, and then I see he had 2 phones.
Oh, fuck.
I was like, okay, I see what this is going. So then, like, I go, like, let me tell you, like, I'm raised from the city of Pacoima. I understand, and part of LA. So I get what he was talking about, like that whole side hustler thing. And I was like, okay, because I was raised in Pacoima, and I was also raised part of half my life in LA on La Brea and Coliseum by the jungles.
So, the jungles?
You don't know what the jungles are?
No.
It's a pretty wild area. Like, it's pretty hardcore.
Okay.
I was always raised around that kind of activity lifestyle. Like, my family members are all into that stuff. But I was choose to stay out of it because I never wanted to be part of that circle. I wanted to break that cycle of being part of like the gang life, being part of like the hustling life. I didn't want no part of it. So when I found out, I left him.
Oh shit.
I left him. But then I found out I was pregnant.
Oh, with this kid?
Yeah. So I was like, because I found out he was selling like meth, and I didn't like meth for shit. Like I used to hate that drug because it destroyed a lot of my family members, and that's when meth was barely coming to a rise, and people were just starting to get addicted, young kids.
Yeah.
Because I would see my sister on it, and I would get so mad when I would see her. So then I was like, how am I going to associate with someone doing that? So I was very strong-minded before, like anything. Like I was very determined of what I want and who I didn't want to be around with. So then 3 months later, I noticed I wasn't getting my period.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, something's not right. So then I checked, and I went with my sister to the clinic. I told her, I'm not going to have it. Mm-hmm. I can't do this. I go, fuck no, I don't want to be around. I don't want this person to be the father of my kid. So then I was scheduling to do an abortion. I went to Planned Parenthood, and then I was at school, and I left school early, and I went to the clinic. My sister took me, and it was so uncomfortable because she had a belly already. She was like she was about to have her daughter.
Oh, fuck.
And imagine going into the clinic and sitting down in the clinic with a belly, and she's with me, and she had no shame, and the girls were just looking all uncomfortable, like,
yeah,
you know. And so I was sitting there, and then they did the ultrasound. When I saw the ultrasound and I saw how far I was, I couldn't do it. I was already like 17 weeks, 3.5 months.
Yeah, that's pretty far.
Yeah,
along.
but see, my body wouldn't tell me I was pregnant.
Yeah.
I was still getting my period. So, but when I got to like a point where it wasn't coming no more, like I was like, something's not right.
Your body wasn't reacting in the way that it normally would when you were pregnant.
So then I ended up doing was I got print out the ultrasound after the tech left to give it to the doctor. I print out the ultrasound for a picture for myself, and I fucking changed and I booked it. I left. I was like, I can't do this.
Oh, okay.
I can't. And so I ran out, and I was like crying. I was like, I can't do this. And so
then did you reach out to him?
I did, and he went back to that girl who was seeing him. She was fucking mad. And so I told him, he's like, I don't believe you. He didn't believe me. So then I was like, whatever. His friend was like, dude, you need to do something. Like, you're going to be a father soon. You need to be in this child's life. So it was like a big thing. And so anyways, time passed. He ends up coming with me. And then we get to a point where he ends up getting me involved with drugs with him. Mm-hmm. He told me, if you love me, you would try it.
What drug?
Meth.
Meth.
The one thing I despised.
Yeah.
I felt cornered.
Were you pregnant still?
Before I found out I was pregnant, he had told me, let's do it. One line. And that's before I found out I was pregnant, right? Yeah. So I was like, okay. And I was like, no, I'm not. First I said no. And then he goes, if you love me, you'll do it. Yeah. So that was already a flag right there. Like, that's a narcissistic behavior. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that comes hand in hand with men that are abusive, narcissistic, and controlling and manipulative. So like, I was like, okay, I did it, one line, whatever. And then I stopped. And then when I was pregnant, he would try to tell me, oh, let me, put some in the lubricant, and while we're having sex, you could, I'm like, no. I go, it's going to affect the baby. Are you fucking crazy? So then one night we were like, having sex, whatever. And it was like months later, and all of a sudden my belly starts going crazy. And I was like, did you add some in the fucking lube? And I told you not to. Dude, he fucking did.
Dude, he's on some weird shit.
Dude, yeah, no, fucking seriously. It was so weird because I feel like he made me feel like if I didn't ask him to do like the sexual favors, he was going to go run off on someone else with me. And so I was so infatuated and so in love with him and naive. I felt like I had to do that.
And you were young.
Yeah.
You were like, what, now 21, 22?
Yeah. And so like, I was so in love with him. He told me to jump. I would say how high. So like, and I really wanted this to work. I go, I'm finally going to have my family. We're about to get a house soon.
Yeah. I can see how it kind of maybe turned into like a fantasy that you were playing in your head that you really wanted to work out.
Yeah. Because I didn't have parents. Like, I was raised by a grandmother. My father died when I was a little girl from overdose. My mother was an addict as well. And I didn't know none of my sisters and brothers. They were all scattered.
Yeah.
And so like, I wanted this family life to work, you know, like I wanted to show that I can make a family and my family can be successful. And so then my son's born, and he was so beautiful. Mm-hmm. He was 7 pounds, but he was so small and 20 inches, and he's fit like almost preemie clothes. The 0 to 3 months, forget it. Our newborn clothes were too big for him. Oh. But he was so perfect, and he was just beautiful. And then 2 months later, I told him, "Are you gonna start working?" He didn't want to fucking work. Yeah. He'd make an excuse. "Oh, I have a record of my prison record. No one's not gonna hire me." So I started working. So I didn't even get to enjoy my baby. 6 weeks in, after having my baby, and I had a C-section, I started working. I'm working, and then all of a sudden, like, he started becoming really mean and like mad at the fact that I was making money. And he had to ask me for money. I'm like, well, then work. Why are you getting mad at me for? So jealousy started kicking in because I was being the breadwinner, and I was an operator for 911.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I was working doing that. And then my other job was I was working at the chronically ill and the terminally ill, like a hospice home. Oh. So, but it was more for like people who had like HIV, and they were trying to get into like a transitional housing where they try to learn how to cope with like hepatitis or HIV like HIV. So there's like a lot of classes like I had to attend to, and like to learn about all that stuff. So I was doing that. So I was working part-time doing that, and then part-time as an operator. And then one day as I was coming home, someone was following me. I was like, what the fuck? And I told him, hey, what's going on? I reached out. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, someone's following me in my truck. And there was times that he would use my truck, and it turned out that he was like into some bullshit that he caught attention to some rival gangs. And they thought I was him because I have black tinted windows. Oh, shit. And I told him, are you doing some... I go, I thought you stopped all this. Mm-hmm. So then whatever, nothing happened of it, right? So then one night I get a phone call from a girl, St. James. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, who's this? She's like, well, who's this? I was like, well, this is his girlfriend. Who the fuck are you? Mm-hmm. Oh, she's like, she started laughing. She's like, and she clicks on me, and I was like, okay. I go, who is this? She's like, Martha. I was like, okay, Martha. Like, what is it that you want with my dude? And she's like, well, I know he never said nothing about you, so maybe you should talk to him. I go, no, actually, I'm fucking talking to you. So then it's like, well, he never claimed you, but I know he has a kid, so I didn't think you were involved. I go, well, I am involved. And she's like, well, you need to check your... I go, no, look, that's my problem. You need to stay the fuck out of it. So if I were you, just, back the fuck off if I were you. Mm-hmm. She's like, well, you should check. I'm like, don't worry about me checking my dude or not. I told you, that's my problem. Mm-hmm. My problem with you is back the fuck off. Do not ever call again.
So just a lot of drama.
Yeah, so right like now. A lot of like cheating, lying, but basically just this whole person who I thought was an ideal person, who was a stand-up dude. And, don't get me wrong, he was a stand-up guy, but in the wrong, like how I say, like as in he was still committed to his gang life, loyal to that, and a stand-up guy to that. But as in a relationship, sneaking, I felt like he one day told me, I was barely getting myself started when I got with you. I go, who told you to fucking get me pregnant? You became a father on your own free will, so this is what the father life is like. And so he felt like he didn't get to enjoy life. Yeah. So I was like, whatever. So anyway, time passes, and then we get into some criminal activity, and he starts becoming more aggressive towards me, telling me, oh, are you fucking stupid, and talking to me very disrespectful. And I was like, hey, why are you disrespecting? Why are you getting mad for? Yeah. I'm asking you to do something and you're not. And then he's like, well, why the fuck are you talking back? So I'm noticing these red flags, and I'm still ignoring it. Yeah. I'm thinking, okay, maybe it is me, and maybe I should. So I start questioning myself, like maybe I should approach him a little more different. And so I noticed I had
like maybe it's my approach.
like I go maybe and you know, like he's just not in the mood for it. And so I started adjusting my tone of voice, my way of approaching things. And I go, see, I'm making myself changes, but you're not making the changes with me. Like why have to tell you how to be a man? Why do I have to tell you how to be a boyfriend? Why do I have to tell you to be a father? Like that's just something that you should come naturally.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, man, whatever, I don't fucking care. And I was like, and that didn't click in my head, you know?
Yeah.
So all I wanted to do was just to make it work.
Yeah, you're really trying to make it work.
Yeah.
At this point.
And so then it starts getting more louder. The arguments start getting more constant, and then like not sleeping, and then his addiction was getting worse, and I didn't want nothing to do with it. And then he started becoming like very forceful towards me when I didn't want to sleep with him. He started forcing himself towards me, and then I would cry. I was like, I don't want to. He's like, come on. I'm like, no, because he was like, it was turning me off already. Like I didn't want to. And so he started becoming more aggressive towards that. And I was like, well, then you know what? That probably should just go look for somewhere else. I was like, what? I was like, wait, what? Mm-hmm. So then I felt like I was forced to suck it up. So then before I know it, it was my day off. And then he comes driving fast in my truck. His friend got shot in my truck.
Oh, and killed?
No. So what I ended up doing was covering up for his mistakes. And I told him, put your friend in my van, put Bondo on those bullet holes, and fix that fucking problem now. Say I found him on the floor and would take him to the hospital. So me and his friend go to the hospital, and I covered up for him, saying that, oh, we don't know who was it, nothing. So then the detectives got involved. They were trying to figure out what was going on. We told them that we found him on this so-and-so street, and they're like, well, we went around that whole block, and no one said they ever heard any bullets, like any gunshots. So we just left it as that. So then 2 weeks later, they come and I go, we need you to point out the person that you think you saw that was fleeing the scene. I'm like, I don't know. I don't see them. So then that person comes out 3 weeks later, and it was my day off. We were having a barbecue. We see him. And it was me, James, and his cousin. And something popped off where there was like a shootout in front of our house.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's violence all around.
Yeah. And so me and my 3 boys ran into our house, and I was terrified.
Yeah.
And you think I would have left them there? Nope. And then the detectives come, and they told us, well, neighbors are stating that the person who was doing it lives here, and they came in, draw their guns, raided my house, and they found weapons there that I didn't even know they were there. They were in our attic. And top it off, there was hollow point bullets that were illegal. Mm. And they said, if you know what, you have kids here.
Oh.
For me as an officer, we feel that your children are in danger. So don't be surprised if DCFS comes involved. Do you give us permission to search your home? I'm like, nope. Really? So even though you feel like, this isn't a red flag for you, you don't think your kids are in danger, and you know that I will call DCFS, you're not going to give me permission to search your home. I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
I kept, nope, I don't give you no permission. I was so loyal. So
yeah.
Brought so much problems.
What do you think was going through your head at the time of
to protect him?
Protect him
At all costs. I had to. Even if it took me to lose everything, I was going to protect him, because that was my duty. And that's what I was always told. Don't trust the cops. Don't come to her. I was just raised that way. You don't talk. That's it.
Yeah, the don't snitch mentality. Yeah. I can get that mentality 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no. And then I knew my rights. I wasn't afraid. So he could say whatever he wants. As long as I don't give him permission, it's okay. What are they going to do? They could investigate all they want. They know that my kids are safe. Everything was up to date. They always went to the doctors. I never had them miss school. They were always on top of everything. So I was like, I don't have nothing to hide. I don't have a good job. But then I find out so much stuff that was going on behind my back. My kids told me that they saw him stab people.
Oh,
they were
fuck.
I was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, Mom, we went to that fair at a park and I saw Dad stab somebody.
Holy shit.
And I started crying. I was like, who am I with? Like, this person is not who I thought I was. I was like, wait a minute. So I'm thinking, when I'm at work, I'm trusting this man, thinking that he's at home with my kids, taking care of them. In reality, he's still doing his gang life activity. And I'm just like, who is this man? Like, I started questioning my actions. Like, who am I really with?
Yeah. Did you feel like you were enabling?
Yeah, I did. And then his mom even warned me, be careful. I was like, what do you mean? And then his sister's like, dude, like, his thing for weapons, he's like infatuated by it. But that's the one thing that will take him out, because he loved weapons, loves guns, loves knives. And I was like, and then she's like, think about it. Before you guys got together, he went to prison for firearms and for illegal weapons, distributing illegal weapons and firearms that he made. I was like, what?
He makes them.
Yeah. Dude, I'm serious. This guy was like fucking, I was like, what?
What eventually kind of drove you out the door with this relationship?
So I ended up getting pregnant again, and it ended up being a little girl. I had a little girl, and they're 22 months apart between my son and daughter. And it got to the point we went to Mexico, came back, and when I was pregnant, he started hitting me.
Oh, when you were pregnant?
That's when the first hit happened, and when we left to Mexico for some bullshit, like, because I was crying because he was just taking off and he wouldn't come back, and I didn't have no one out there.
Yeah.
So he slapped the fuck out of me and told me, shut the fuck up, because you're going to make people think that I'm doing something to you, and I'm not fucking doing shit to you. I go, he just fucking slapped me. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? So whatever, that was only one time. That was it. I was like, okay, maybe he will never do it again. So then he goes back, and then we come back to the United States. I have my daughter, and he hit me twice that I was pregnant. And one day I said something that pissed me off, and he goes, shut the fuck up before I get up, and I'm gonna fuck you up. I was like, what? Why do I need to shut up? Because I'm serious. So then I didn't shut up, and then he gets up, charges at me, punches the fuck out of my ribs and sides, and he was smart enough to hit me where in areas was not shown. So he would just really hit me like on my sides, my stomach, and I kept getting like a lot of bruises, and I feel like he had fractured a few of my ribs. And so then finally I left him in 2013. The first time I left him, it was because he cheated on me with his aunt's best friend. And he left me.
Oh.
Okay. Then I get back. Then I leave again. And then finally at the end, what drove me to leave, not him running me over with his car, and I'm screaming for help for the neighbors to reach out to help me. And he just says, bitch, that's what you get, dragging me through the gravel, and threw me to the side. He goes, because I needed a ride to go pick up my kids, and he didn't want to give me the car keys because I didn't have my van. A week after that, my mom reached out to me and told me that, I don't know how to tell you this, but James has been trying to message your sister inappropriately. And she told me to let you know this because it pissed her off that he ruined our relationship, my sister and I's relationship. And he tried to get at her. And this is what she told me to forward to you. She forwarded me a message showing that he was trying to get at her. She said, how dare you reach out to me knowing that you're the reason why my DNA, my own blood, my own sister won't talk to me, and you're trying to get at me? She's like, best believe I'm gonna screenshot this, send it to my mom, and have my mom send it to my sister because you're fucking bullshit. And I was like, oh, hell no. So then I had a friend who was knowing a little what's going on, because I will always have black eyes. I was weighing at 140.
Yeah. You're tall.
Yeah, and I'm 5'8", and I was weighing at 140. I had lost so much weight. I was so depressed. My self-esteem, my confidence was shot out. I felt like I was lower than dirt. I didn't care. Like I was so emotionally broken and strained from all the bullshit that he did to me. I could not stand the fact that he made me feel less than a person than I ever was. I valued him more than I ever valued myself, my kids. I put him above everyone. He was like my God. Mm-hmm. And he didn't care. He did not care. He knew it and he took advantage of it. And he was such an asshole. So then I told my friend, we had a code word, and it was, oh my God, I really forgot. Well, we had a code word and I sent it to her, and then she came and picked me up. And when I was leaving, he pulls up and he snatches me by the hair. And I was like pulling my son over because they would change the locks. I had a double bolt lock at my door and he didn't give me the key. And he would change, the chain locked to the gate so I wouldn't leave.
Holy fuck.
And he would take my car keys. So I couldn't leave. So we had to jump out of the window, jump over the gate. And then as I was in the process of doing that, and then his dad goes, "Stop. That's enough. Let her go. I am tired of seeing this already. Let her go." So I walked away with only the clothes on my back, and I left. And then I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. Because then on November 21st of 2013, I reached out to him because I needed a ride to take my son to school. And that was the biggest mistake of my life. That was like 4 months after I had left. And when I got in that car, I thought he was he seemed calm and collective, but he was being weird. And out of nowhere, I go, "Okay, are you gonna take me?" He goes, "No, you can't even take care of our kid. Look at you. You're reaching out for me to give you a ride to school. Why take him to school? Why couldn't you do it yourself? I thought you would, I thought you wanted to see your son because you hadn't seen him." He's like, "You know what?" He's like, "No." He's like, and then I was like, "What is your problem?" He was like, "You're my fucking problem." I go, "No." I go, "I want my son. I want to get out of the car." He was like, "No, you need to fucking take him. Look at him. He doesn't even want to go with you. He's scared." I was like, "What?" And then so I can't really elaborate too much, but he choked me out, beat me pretty bad. And the first time in 7 years, I called the cops, but I was passed out. I didn't know. I can't elaborate because they made me change the police report in order because the DCFS got involved in that case.
Yeah.
They took my kids away because they found out I was using, and that's the first time I went to rehab. I did all that. Everything that they required me to do, I did it. I finished my child development classes. I finished my domestic violence classes. I took extensive therapy because I was extremely depressed and PTSD. And so when it came to the court, it was open for 2 years because he went to jail during that time. And they said a parent always has a right until he was released. That's when they will be able to start proceeding and closing the case. So when he came out and they said, "Well, this is prolonging too long. We need to change the wording of your report so it wouldn't look so harsh." So that way, I go, "What do you mean?" I go, "So you're going to tell me he's going to get away with this?" "Well, not necessarily." I'm like, "No, what do you mean not necessarily?"
Yeah, the system is fucked.
So I had to, in order to get this case closed and get my kids back completely, I had to change the wording of my police report. And the fucked up part is that he left me so bad that I didn't know my name. I was pretty bad. Mm-hmm. And he got away with it. He didn't get no charges for it. And it hurt because I felt like I didn't get no justice whatsoever. And the only thing they granted me was a 6-month restraining order. That was it. And for a person who had to be in the hospital for a long time and get therapy and relearned a lot of stuff because I had a really bad head trauma.
Yeah.
Couldn't recognize my face.
Was all the therapy and the stuff that like you said you were required to do a few things, was any of that helpful and beneficial?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I could honestly say that opening that case, even though it cost me to go through all those classes and do rehab and stuff, it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I learned how to do self-care. Domestic violence classes, honestly, 100% works if you really put your effort into it. I learned so much, the meaning behind domestic violence, the woman that run the class, she was amazing. She followed protocols. She made sure that we were safe, that we were in a safe place. There was 2 ways of entrance, and there was, so that way if any of our batters were to come around, we were protected no matter what. There was no way anyone entering that facility without us having our own PIN code to enter, our own, like everything was safe. And they taught us about how domestic violence started, where it resonated, and how it all started in the 1800s, because women were used as just a tool for men.
Yeah.
And so women had no rights, and how they dictated our lives, and how everything started in a sense of, this is the reason why we're broken, because our ancestors were in a sense where women were below men.
Yeah, but even nowadays, men struggle with domestic violence as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Because I remember there was a male in our class, and he was so embarrassed, but we shone light on that too. And she said, doesn't matter where you come from, what gender you are, this lets you know no one should ever lay hands on nobody. No one should ever make you feel demeanor or lowered of anything, because mental health is worse than physical health. Physical health, you could heal from it. Mental health, you can't. Because it's a repetitive cycle, the repetitive words that they make you feel like you're low, and that's just them dominating you, because they don't have no dominance in their own life. They can't control their own life, so they want to control other people's lives. If anyone's ever struggling and ever feel like they cannot get out of it, and they feel like the system is broken, one thing I can honestly say, take the classes that are recommended for you. And I promise you, you will find hope in that classes, because those classes gave me hope and made me feel like I was heard, I was valid, and I'm valued again. Because no matter what, you are a person. And if you believe in God, God loves you no matter what walks of life you come from. Doesn't matter what shame you're carrying, he loves you. You know that you can find a way out no matter what. Because I thought I was going to be lost and this was going to be my life. I attempted to kill myself because of him. I literally walked out of my house. No one didn't notice, because he would literally belittled me, saying I was a piece of shit girlfriend, piece of shit mom. And he told me the reason why I will never fucking marry you, because you're a piece of shit housewife. And you're worth nothing. And all you want to do is find out what the fuck I'm doing, what I'm at, who I'm at. Why the fuck does it matter what I'm doing? Just know that I will never fucking marry you. And that broke me, and I shattered me, and I walked out. I go, well, what's the point of me living? I remember walking to Lancashire and Strathern. It was heavy traffic, it was traffic hour. And I was in a daze, and I was like, I want to die. I really want to die. And I was about to step off the ledge. Someone pulls me back and tells me, not yet. Not yet. And I was like, what the I swear, I saw that woman clear as day. She was beautiful. And she pulls me back, and I looked, I swear, I walked up and down that fucking street, never found her. Really? Never seen her again in my life. And she told me, no, not yet. And she just I was like, what the fuck was that? I don't know what it was, or if it was someone that was sent to me, but that person saved my life. And I would have literally been dead, and my kids would have probably been lost in the system. God knows what would have happened to them. And I realized that I was more valued than more than I ever needed. And God was not finished with me yet.
Yeah.
And so if anyone's ever struggling, I promise you, and you're in that midst of hopelessness, like you have no hope, no nothing, just keep holding on, and just know that you are valued more than what you think, and you are needed more than you know. Try to get yourself in a safe place. Reach out to support system. I promise you, they will help you, because that's what they're there for. You use the 1-800 numbers. All those systems, all those resources work. if you really put your heart into it and if you really want to get out of whatever situation you're in. They will help you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on and sharing your story today.
Thank you.
I know it's a lot, and even just to talk about it and put it out on the internet publicly. Yeah, I appreciate it, and you're strong, and you seem to be doing very well today.
Heck yeah, I love myself today. I'm gonna tell you that.
Yeah.
No one will never put me down ever again. I will refuse to let myself go back to that because I fought so hard to be the person I am today.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, so I will never let that happen again, and I hope my story helps somebody else.
All right, thank you, Juanita. I appreciate it.